States, Senator Steve Ward. What separates you from
Thank you,
everybody else?
Adam, if you listen to the other candidates, some talk about business, some talk about public policy, some talk about the military. I give it all to you. 27 years in the Marine Corps. I have served well in every geographic combatant command that we have in the world, every region of the world where we have a command, except Europe. I haven't made it to European command yet, but I'm hopeful before my career ends. I just got back from Iraq just a few months ago. I served in Afghanistan in Operation Phillips. When I look at energy, and you consider that 35 years ago when we had the first gas lines and we said we needed to do something, the administration recently came out and said, there is no quick fix to the energy crisis. Well, if we had started 35 years ago with a slow fix, we'd have been out of it 10 years ago. And in Iraq today, Americans are getting maimed and killed with weapons that are provided basically with oil money. We are funding both sides of the war on terror, and we have to stop. I've served, again, in the Marines all over the world. I've served at the Pentagon, very substantive national security and defense experience. But then here at home, I've got more business experience than I have political experience. I've only been in paid political jobs for 6 years. But I've balanced more budgets, or voted for more balanced budgets than all the other candidates here, and I've also cut more taxes than all of them here. And Republicans, I think, kind of lost our way. It's good to cut taxes, but we have to make sure that when we do it in a responsible manner, and we're still balancing the budget. Because we've gotten the federal government out of control now. We've got a $600, $700 billion federal deficit just this year, a $9.3 trillion deficit cumulative. And when I travel throughout the world, and when I serve throughout the world, and I've done a lot of work with the Marine Corps in the Pacific for the last few years, you can see the impact of those deficits on economic relations and what it's doing for the United States. So what I bring to the table is a broad base of experience, both in military and national security, in business, and here at home in public policy. I chaired the Governor's Task Force on Alternative Fuels some years ago, where we looked at fuels, then more from the tailpipes and less from an energy security standpoint, but the issues are the same. Many of the issues are the same.
Well, let me ask you, this question comes from Dan Spicer, who lives in Castle Pines North, who wants to know, what would you do to solve the energy crisis, both for the short term and for the long term? Mr. Secretary, I'll have you kind of label off a couple of things, if you would.
Well, thank you. Adam, in the short run, we need to increase the supply of energy in all forms. But certainly we need to allow more drilling, more energy exploration domestically in this country so that we're more energy independent, less reliant upon foreign oil from unstable regions of the world. And so and to bring down the trade deficit for this country. But in the long run, we clearly need to look at alternatives. We really need to look at other sources outside of fossil fuels. If we don't do that in the long run, we're going to be like a dog chasing its tail, that as world demand rises, we will increase supply, but demand could very well exceed supply for some time to come. And so I think it's important to have a policy in the short run to increase domestic energy. In the long run, to look at alternatives. I think one of the things we got to look at is nuclear power. France, I hate to use them as an example, but they're 80% of their electricity generation is nuclear power, and they export power beyond that to neighboring European countries. We need to look at nuclear power as well.
Harvey?
Well, I agree. The most important thing we can do is increase domestic production of oil and gas. And the reason why we're not is because politicians in Washington, D.C., and certainly here in the state of Colorado, are more afraid of the radical environmentalists and the bad PR that comes along with fighting the radical environmentalists than they are with the citizens of the United States who think that $4 a gallon is too expensive for us to be paying for a gallon of gas. And I have been leading the fight in the legislature to fight the radical environmentalists, to say that we do need to have more production of oil and gas here in Colorado, whether it's at the Roan Plateau or anywhere else in the state. And Governor Ritter and the Democrats here in Colorado are in control, and they're more afraid of the radical environmentalists than they are of the citizens. And I want to continue that fight and be a bold voice in Washington, D.C. to say no. The reason why we have these high prices is because of the Democrats and the environmentalists that are stopping us. But also, Mike is right. In the long term, we have to develop nuclear energy, and we need to do it. We need to put together a program now to start training and educating engineers to get into that field, and also start to give incentives to electrical companies to start to build them.
Senator Ward?
I'll give you several points, Adam. First of all, we do need to drill more, but even Anwar and offshore, where we need to drill, those are 5 or 10-year solutions. We're not going to be getting oil out of those pipes anytime soon, and we need to permit the refineries to allow that oil to be refined here at home. But I'm a fan, back to what the real problem is in terms of energy imports. Much of what we import, much of the oil that we import goes to the liquid fuels, gasoline, diesel fuel, jet fuel. And what I would like to see us adopt an open fuel standards for cars, and this is something that can be done within a very short period of time, where you basically mandate that anyone who sells cars in the United States sells cars that are able to run on gasoline or any of the flex fuels, ethanols, methanols. It's a simple chip. It's about $100 per car right now. But then what that does literally overnight is create an alternative market for fuel, because what the consumer needs is a choice when he fills up his car or she fills up her car, a choice in terms of how they're spending their energy dollars. But I got to tell you, I've been walking door to door now for several months, and it is quite common to see, if there's no one home, especially during the week, you'll see a large SUV or a large truck parked in the driveway because consumers can't afford to drive these things. So they're parking them. I don't know how they're getting to work, but they're not driving the SUVs. And they need a choice, because when you bring choice to the consumer, you bring competition to gasoline and the oil-based fuels, and you'll put downward pressure on those through competitive forces. And the third thing I'd like to see us do is I'd like to see some kind of prize. I'd like to see us incentivize research and development for things like batteries that would allow the plug-in hybrid to take hold. Nuclear power is fine, but nuclear power only generates us electricity. We can't drive our cars. We can't get to work on electric cars yet. But when you look at the plug-in hybrid concept, and I think that's a good midterm fix, you're taking advantage of existing infrastructure, gasoline and electricity, but you need more electricity on the grid. And for that, I think you need to look at clean coal, and you need to look at nuclear.
Adam, what I think that what we must do back in Congress is open the doors for business people and entrepreneurs to pursue this problem. I mean, as a businessman myself, we're dealing with issues, in the workplace of people going to 4-day, 10-hour work weeks just to make it easier on the family checkbook and the family budget, just so that people can survive given these high gas prices. I think the problem is that too often Congress is trying to pick winners and losers. Ethanol is a classic example, in my opinion, of trying to do something that we think is right, but ultimately is wrong, because the government was trying to pick winners and losers. So, I agree that we need to pursue Anwar for drilling offshore. Here in Colorado, natural gas on the Rhone Plateau. I think we need to do all of those things. But what we really need to do is allow the free market to pursue new alternatives, and I just got great faith in America that our spirit of ingenuity and creation, that entrepreneurs and small businessmen and women are going to begin to solve these kind of problems, and we must.
I wanted to ask you, I have about a minute left, so I need to ask you a yes or no question, because I'd like y'all, Mike from Castle Rock wants to know. It's a two-pronged immigration question, but let me ask you this first and foremost. Has Congressman Tancredo spent too much time on immigration in Congress representing the 6th Congressional District? Yes or no, Senator Harvey?
No. It wouldn't be where it is today if it wasn't for Tom Tancredo's dogged determination.
Senator Ward?
Do you want a yes or no answer, or are we supposed to go on?
I'd like a yes or no.
I think he has spent too much time on it, and frankly, we still don't have secure borders.
No.
I think it's an important issue, and he's been a national leader on that, and I commend him for his efforts.
Our time has gone by very quickly here on TV. We're going to be right back. We're going to continue this conversation, by the way, over on 9news.com at the end of this program. So stay with us. We have more immigration questions, more economic questions, healthcare, and the like. We'll be right back.